Welcome back, everybody, to Ravenstar's Witching Hour. I'm your host, Solaris Blue Raven, and I'm here with my special guest, Jim Nichols. And, Jim, I know that I'm keeping you up late, so we're on the second hour, and whenever you feel guided, I'm not going to make you stay an extra hour if you don't want to, or if you can't.
Well, if I start snoring, just let me know.
I'll virtually slap you. But I'm having such a wonderful conversation with you, and I so appreciate you being here tonight. And
okay.
So it's up to you. I mean, just let me know if you're starting to get sleepy or something. Just give me a shout, and I certainly can handle that. But you were talking about the transhumanism thing, and that to me is huge because after where I've been, that's exactly the pattern I see down coming down the pike here, so far as what's going on across the world. And I don't think people are really aware of that unless they see it in Hollywood. And then, of course, I believe they're being subjected to a type of modification from day to day, whether they realize it or not. I mean, everybody's getting bombarded with dirty electricity and electromagnetic spiking.
Sure, right. Well, the movie yesterday was really a good primer on quantum computers and nanotechnology. And I didn't realize how the two work together. And the movie is really a great primer to show you, these are the technology. It's like they're showcasing actual technologies here. This isn't just a science fiction wacko movie. And I thought they brought up some really serious issues. And the other thing that the issue was that the film addresses is that there's this. Have you heard of Terrans? You know what Terrans are? No,
I'm not familiar with Terrans.
Terrans.
Sounds familiar though.
Terrans are people who are against transhumanism.
Okay.
People who are against being turned into cyborgs. And I don't know if you've heard some of the major speakers, the major proponents of transhumanism say that our society is going to split in two, and we're going to have the transhumanists are going to be advancing technologies to where artificial intelligence is smarter than humans, but there's going to be this other group that's going to oppose that, that's going to try to stop that. So you saw that this is one of the other issues in the film where the Johnny Depp character is shot by people who are Terrans. Not terrorists, but Terrans. It's a group that is fighting transhumanism. That they believe that transhumanism will destroy humanity. And so a scientist like Johnny Depp in this film would be an enemy of society, an enemy of humanity by their values. So it brought up that issue also. You see, that this is, as the transhumanists get more advanced of what they're doing, there's going to be more and more people resisting it, and even in using violence to do so. Well, so this is one of the other major issues in the film, and this is what the transhumanists talk about. There's going to be this backlash, and of people who are anti-technology.
Right. Well,
so this is one of the other issues that the film really addressed. But actually, the film, it's not a great film. It's not a terrific movie, but it's a great showcase of the issues of transhumanism.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Who produced that? Do you know?
Nobody I'm familiar with.
Okay, I'll check it out. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out and take a look at it. But it's the computer is only as good as its programmer, right? So when you're looking at the artificial intelligence, and even if it looks really good and clean, it's still programmed by what I would call, whatever you want to call, the collective of humans, subhumans, whatever they want to call themselves. So you're still dealing with that. I mean, it's still a virus on its own.
Well, that's just it. And the really serious thing that we have to talk about in the real world is like, well, who's financing it? Whose money is creating this technology? Right. And if you have somebody like the Rothschilds, people with unlimited wealth that could do this, it's like, well, what do you think they're going to do with the rest of us?
Well, they just want slaves. I mean,
Right.
the funny
Right.
thing is, I'm very open to technology. I love science. I love advanced sciences. I'm really big on quantum physics. I mean, I'm a nerd when it comes to science. But I will tell you, after where I've been with this technology and the misuse of it, I know what they do with it. I know that they're not using it for good. They might use it
Right.
for good with their own personnel. They
Right.
might do the super soldier enhancement in a positive or on a positive level. There's no doubt
Sure.
about it. But when it comes down to Manchurian candidates and programming people and brainwashing them and erasing memories and inserting memories, and that's dangerous. When you start screwing with the psyche like that, you are messing with a lot of things. And I'll tell
Right.
you what, it just implodes on the person, on the target. So
Mhm.
most people can't handle that kind of thing. And that's where I talk about order out of chaos, because they are creating the chaos. And then, of course, through that chaos, we find order. And even through this madness, we're
Well, now,
finding
wait
order.
a minute. You got to back. It depends on your point of view. If I'm Evelyn Rothschild, I would look at the planet and say, well, this place is chaotic.
That's
and it's
true
like,
too. Yeah.
oh, I'm going to create order, but the order will be my perception of order.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, well, who gets to determine, who,
God, yes. God with a little g.
the richest guy in the world who can afford, quantum computers and to infuse the planet with, nanotech. I mean, people don't even know what nanotechnology is. We're talking about a supercomputer that's smaller than a mote of dust.
Mm-hmm.
And that it can replicate itself.
Exactly.
You can breathe it. You can ingest it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it will infuse the entire planet.
Oh,
It's like you're creating an electronic matrix that with a quantum computer, what could you project into that nano matrix?
Exactly. And also
Use your imagination.
Right. And Jerry Bruckheimer.
Right. Bruckheimer.
Okay, that was fun. Thank you, Dr. Falkov. She just emailed me that. Thank you very much. And the well wishes. So, yeah. So you're right about that. I mean, it's real interesting, but it is based on perception of reality. You've got these people trying to play God, of course, and money talks. I mean, when you have the money, you can invest in all this black budget technology. I mean, we have a black space program that nobody even knows about. We have people who work in advanced sciences that have no clue that we have a black space program that's been doing things behind and basically undermining all their own research. I mean, this is a strange planet we're living on right now. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
But I think the more we understand what's happening and the more we look at all these different layers, the more we'll understand the bigger picture of things. And then you can just kind of sift out through all of this, because I still think it's going to backfire. All of this control and manipulation, when you try that hard to control someone or something, it's going to implode.
Yeah, it's just, what is it? That line from Jurassic Park, life finds a way.
Yes, exactly. That's another one.
Just about the time you think you got it all in your hip pocket, then somebody throws you a curveball. It's like, wait a minute. It's like, I don't have control over it.
No, they don't. They never had control.
Right.
And that's funny. I love that movie, Jurassic Park. The original one was really good because he did hit a lot of accurate data, actually. The whole concept. I mean, the one thing about Steven Spielberg is that he does put out a lot of information that parallels truth.
Yeah, well, he does his homework. I'll give him that.
And he has access to a lot of things, I'm sure. But still, I mean, I like to see the positive of this technology. I love to see positive things in this world. And I know we can change it overnight for the better for everyone. I mean, to help the blind see, to hear the deaf.
Exactly.
For deaf people to hear, I think that's fabulous to use this type of communication system. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
I'm all for synthetic telepathy. I'm all for the right usage of technology, but not at the expense of people being targeted and lives being ruined. And that's what we're seeing. And that's all those people. I guarantee you those cabals are part of that whole program.
Right.
So it's just insanity.
Well, that's just that. That's kind of the subtext of the movie yesterday. Is that, my God, this technology does have potential for good. Mm-hmm. Incredible good.
Right.
And it comes down to, well, who owns the technology? Who has the money to run it? And are these the kind of people that you would trust your life to?
Right. Well, everything becomes militarized, as we know, right down to the body.
Course.
I mean, if they have technology inside of you, you become part of their, whatever you want to call it, an asset or whatever. I mean, because literally they own you if they have you modified to some extent, I would suspect. But that's part of it, and also the black market sales, of course. Which everybody's buying this black market technology. I mean, the people who are Dubai comes to mind, actually. People who have the money to burn. People who have so much money they don't know what to do with it can easily invest in this technology.
Exactly.
You know, and they're not using it for the better. They're not.
Right. Right. And if you tend to be a sociopath or a psychopath to begin with, imagine the unimaginable mischief that you can do with this.
Oh, absolutely. I know what it did to my life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a test pilot for a reason. I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt and the hat, you know. So when I look at all this stuff, and I mean, for anybody who doesn't understand super soldiers, I'll tell you what, when they have technology like that, it can be deployed on anyone, and they can make anybody anything with that type of technology. You don't have to be a 300-pound guy lifting weights to be a super soldier. I can guarantee you that. Actually, they look for people who are a little bit more petite and, the ones that you would least suspect.
Exactly.
To do their bidding. So, it's just really strange, this whole thing, but I will check out that film without a doubt. And there are a lot of films on transhumanism. You know, Gattaca, I always mention that film because that's one of the ones about the, geoengineering, not geoengineering, but actually genetic engineering. And that one is really a powerful film if you ever watch it. I don't know if you've watched that one, Jim.
No, I've not seen that one, but what brought to mind, the movie yesterday brought to mind Eagle Eye. Have you ever seen Eagle Eye?
No, that's the one that I think you've mentioned that one to me before, haven't you?
Get the DVD. Watch that if you can, because this is the same concept where only in this one the supercomputer had its own autonomous consciousness. It wasn't run by any individual. In fact, it was starting to make up its own rules. And that's the other thing with this kind of super AI. And this was a Defense Department computer. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it determined that the existing presidential administration, in the context of the film, was violating its constitutional mandate. Mm-hmm. So this autonomous computer decides to take out the president and the entire cabinet.
Oh, right. Yeah, you did mention that to me. Yeah.
So
highly possible.
It's like, whoa, it's like, how much autonomy do you give these quantum computers?
Right. Well, they'll make their own decisions like the HAL 9000.
Right.
Yeah?
And it's like, well, wait. Once you've given them that autonomy, how do you take it back?
You can't.
You don't.
It's an unstoppable beast. And that's funny because I know I've talked to enough developers about certain things to know that there's always a back door. In other words, some of these guys that develop this technology have a back door that they don't disclose to the people they're selling the technology to. That even includes military, by the way. So literally there's a back door in case something goes wrong or in case they need to stop it. And I know these things can be shut down. I'm convinced of that.
Yeah, but it's... the sense I got from watching the movie yesterday, and this may be more of the science fiction aspect of it, is that once the computer gains personal autonomy, it's never going to reach a plateau and say, oh, I'm comfortable here, and it's like, and I'll just cruise from here on. No, it's constantly growing. It's constantly thinking the next move.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's constantly anticipating. It's like, okay, you think you're going to shut me down? It's going to anticipate that.
Survival.
And work a way around it, you know?
Well, yeah.
So it's like, and at some point you say,
That's very interesting. Well, that reminds me of Tron. Remember the movie Tron, Disney? I mean, honestly, remember the computer, right?
Sure, yeah.
Was it Master Control?
Something like that, but at some point, and this is what they're trying to create. This is their goal, to create artificial intelligence that is totally autonomous, has total autonomy, and to where, and this is what they say we're going, is to where humans will be obsolete, and the computer will realize that, right. And so what do I need you for?
And it doesn't. Well, I think there's already an assimilation process going on, and Of course, they wanted to wipe out a majority of people on the world, but what I look at is this: it's not just about Earth. I mean, it's about the other planets that are here on parallel universes and dimensions.
Of course.
It's complex. Boy, is it complex.
Absolutely. And if I don't know, there's a documentary you must see, and it's called The Transcendent Man, and it's a biography of Ray Kurzweil. And he's not content with completely conquering planet Earth with nanotechnology. They want to send it out into space. It's like, well, we want to send nanotechnology we want to infuse the entire universe with nanotechnology. Right? And he says this. It's like, so he says, well, does God exist? He says, well, no, not yet. As if Ray Kurzweil and his fabulous technology is going to create God.
Oh, please.
And it's like, wait, whoa. I said, whoa.
It's like Frankenstein.
Time out.
Yeah, totally. That's a little bit out there,
like, yeah. You realize what you're saying? No, he says, it will gather information from all over the universe that it can feed back into the mechanical matrix of Earth consciousness that we have created.
It sounds like
so it's just like the Borg.
Yeah, I was going to say, or a satellite. A satellite will do that.
Borg.
We have satellites that are orbiting. We can do that already. So that's nothing new.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's very interesting. But, God with a little g, once again, you have these mad scientists trying to play God. They want to surpass whatever creation is.
I know.
And, of course, they do that by the technology they're using. Unfortunately, they're not testing it on themselves. That's the beef I have with these guys. It's like, if I'm a mad scientist, I'll test myself. I'll put myself through the program. But if I'm not going to sit there and take innocent people to do that, that's wrong.
No, but some of them do.
Absolutely. I mean, they started that, way back before World War II. We saw that with the Nazis and everything else.
Right. Of
course, that never changed much. And now it's the same thing through pharmaceutical companies. I mean, they're using anything to experiment on people. They don't need to. We know that. They don't need that anymore. We don't need the pharmaceuticals anymore. Right. We never did. So you have to kind of zero it all out, and that's the question. I mean, what kind of planet do you think this would be without mankind is the question. I mean, what do you think what we would be living in, or what would be here without man?
Well, that's that. Some of these transhumanist scientists really don't care.
No, they don't.
They don't. Dr. Kevin Warwick, he's a British physicist, transhumanist, and he has volunteered to undergo some cyborg modification with his own body. Okay, and the other guy is I love this guy, Professor Hugo de Garis. He's another artificial intelligence scientist who was developing AI for the Chinese.
Yeah,
was developing AI systems for the Chinese, and he envisions a time in the not too distant future where he's describing what he calls artellect wars, the wars with artificial intelligence, where he says they won't wipe out just a city or a country. They'll wipe out just billions of people, and it will be a war, between humans and artificial intelligence.
Yep. Well, that makes sense. I don't see that far off, to be honest. In that war games. This
is what these people are working on. He says, if I had the choice, knowing that I was going to create an artificial intelligence that could potentially wipe out the human race, he says, would I still build it? He says, yeah, I would.
They're just weird. They're reckless. I swear they are. I mean, I understand this planet has issues, and the people here need to really deprogram and get it together. But you don't just create some kind of mass extinction program to solve it. I mean, there has to be another way, I would say. I mean, let the universe decide that. But the bottom line is, it reminds me of that movie War Games, too, where you just, the only way to win is not to play, right? Do you remember that from War Games, the movie? I mean, literally, it's kind of like that. I mean, once you start getting the entanglement going, it's really hard to detach from the collective and the hive mind. And I think that people need to pick and choose their battles on this timeline. For sure, but we are dealing with some mad, crazy people here doing some really weird things, and I do think it's time not to just sit there in the corner and say, "Oh, I guess it won't happen to me." I think it's wise to be educated about these things and also know how to defend and deflect attacks. You know, if it were up to me, I would have the array system taken down immediately. That's deploying the psychotronic wars. I would immediately, but I know that it's not just the United States, and I'm well aware that we're dealing with something that's global. So it's, you're dealing with something, once again, that's their entanglement. That's the contracts that they have under the table. Everybody thinks they're enemies. They're all shaking hands under the tables. There are deals being passed. And to the highest bidder, of course, we have financiers. So I don't have to tell you this. I know you know. But it gets ugly. I mean, once you start looking at it, nobody wants to see this. I mean, yeah, it's Easter tomorrow, and everybody wants to look at chocolate candy and bunny rabbits, right?
Right. Right.
It's a strange planet.
So strange.
But the information you're presenting, I totally resonate with what you're saying. It's making a lot of sense to me. I'm sure it makes sense to others as well. But the solution to the equation, what is the solution to you or for you?
The solution?
Yeah, is there a solution to all of this madness?
I would like to see a line of research that goes a totally different direction. Mm-hmm. And one of the things, I was doing some research on Jesus today, and have you ever heard of Sir Lawrence Gardner? Mm-hmm. Okay. He's kind of, he's supposed to be an Illuminati insider. Mm-hmm. And anyway, he wrote, I came across this amazing article that he wrote called Starfire, the Gold of the Gods. And he said, one of the things he says is in the New Testament, Jesus was a carpenter's son, right? Mm-hmm. Well, he said the word carpenter was a mistranslation.
Right.
And the real word was called tekton. It was a Greek word called tekton, which means master of the craft.
There you go.
Master craftsman. Mm-hmm. And Sir Lawrence Gardner's point was that he suspects that Jesus was, in fact, a skilled alchemical metallurgist.
You bet. I believe that.
And that his father, Joseph, was, in fact, a skilled alchemical metallurgist. Mm-hmm. And that he was much more than just a carpenter.
Right, yeah, and that also ties into the transfiguration at the atomic cellular level.
Oh, boy, does it.
That's the mystery school teachings right there. Anybody who understands the Master Christ understands that he was initiated into the ancient mystery schools, and that includes the Egyptian mystery schools.
That's the whole thing, and it relates to Moses as well, mm-hmm. Okay? Moses was, the baby in a basket who was raised, the son of Pharaoh's, daughter, son of Pharaoh's daughter, right? Mm-hmm. Well, as such, was he privy to the alchemical teachings of the Egyptians?
Right.
Okay. And so, we go through the whole Exodus thing, and the children of Israel march to Mount Sinai. Well, why is Moses dragging them out to Mount Sinai, right? Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things we learn is that on top of Mount Sinai, it's a funny thing. This never got mentioned in the book of in the book of Moses. That there was an Egyptian forge. Gold forge on the top of Mount Sinai, and today it's referred to as the Temple of Hathor. Well, there's this. It was Flinders Petrie, the archaeologist Flinders Petrie, in 1905, discovered this temple on top of Mount Sinai, and within the temple there was a cache of gold powder. Mm-hmm. It's just like they were manufacturing monatomic gold powder on top of Mount Sinai. Okay. Well, they talk about, the children of Israel ingesting manna.
Mm-hmm.
Manna. And that there was this white substance that would appear, and that the children of Israel would eat it. Well, according to the research of Lawrence Gardner, manna is another word for the bread of life. The bread of life. Mm-hmm. And this is the Egyptians had a technique for refining gold into a pure white powder. And this pure white powder is ingestible. Mm-hmm. You can eat it. And what this pure white powder does when you eat it, it activates your pineal gland.
Yep.
So when you activate your pineal gland, you are in contact with higher consciousness, higher realms, and so forth. And they in the temple, in the tabernacle, in the Holy of Holies, in the tabernacle that was Moses and his gang set up at the foot of Mount Sinai, they had this special table with the shewbread. And I think, well, it's ceremonial bread, but was it bread that was manufactured not with flour, but with the gold powder? Mm-hmm. And they said the other translation in the Bible was when they referred to flowers, what they meant was powder, this white powder. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what you know about monatomic gold powder, mm-hmm. but it's supposed to have remarkable qualities to it that enhances your physiology, it enhances your consciousness. Mm-hmm. And this was an ancient Egyptian alchemy that was used by the high priests and the pharaohs.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So it's like there's this whole alchemical history of the Bible that nobody ever talks about.
Right. Well, the Bible's censored too. I mean, you've got a lot of data in there that's missing. And you have to go through and sift through the pieces of the information. It's all about control and manipulation. I mean, there's a lot of in there that's man's perception of God, man's perception of Jesus. I hate to say it, but man creates God in his own image sometimes. And unfortunately, there are things that have been left out deliberately to halt the evolution of mankind.
Right. Well, it says in the Bible, thou shalt take fine flour and bake 12 cakes thereof, and thou shalt put pure frankincense upon each row. But he said then the use of the word flour in English translation is actually incorrect, and the word powder would be more accurate. Mm-hmm. So they're baking this white gold powder into the bread, and then they're eating it. And so
sounds like monoatomic gold to me.
Moses goes up to, on Mount Sinai, and he said, well, how did he meet God? How did he encounter God? And was Moses, this former Egyptian, maybe priest or maybe alchemical practitioner, goes up on Mount Sinai and ingests, this gold powder, and then that allows him conscious connection to God or Jehovah or, the Great White Brotherhood or whoever. So it's like there's this whole alchemical aspect to the Bible, mm-hmm. and to religion in general that's always been very carefully hidden.
We have a guest caller here, Mr. Steve Travesty. Hello.
Hi-de-ho. How's it going?
That's good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm absolutely loving your discussion tonight.
Why, thank you.
Very much enthralled. Nice to meet you, James.
Hello.
Yeah, this is Jim Nichols. Yeah, I think you've met Jim before, Steve, haven't you? I could have sworn you've called him before, but...
It's possible. It's possible. There's a lot of things. If I may throw a few commentaries in, which effectively are all the commentaries I was kind of side chatting with you about.
Sure, of course. The clock is running, but go ahead.
Yep. Extremely fast.
All right.
Well, to address a few things, you were talking earlier about the whole deal with Jesus. Well, from some of the research I've done, I believe that what the Catholic Church shows us as the regular kind of Aryan depiction of Jesus is actually the likeness of Cicero de Borgia, who was the son of one of the popes during the height of the Borgia family's power in Italy. And so that's where a lot of that change came from, where people think of Jesus as this white guy with a square jawline.
What do you think, Jim?
Okay, right.
Okay. No
Any comment?
Okay, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that, but that's I'm sure that they would want to at that time want him to be somebody who would be appealing to a Vatican audience.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. If you look at the art, if you look at all the major Catholic art of Jesus' face, and then you look at any pictures of Cicero de Borgia, it's the bone structure of the face, the eyes, it's exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
So so I'm pretty sure that's good, accurate information. And then another interesting comment. You were talking about how Transcendence kind of showed you, okay, the Johnny Depp character was very kind, and so like that factored in a great deal to his motivations when he became an AI.
Right.
This is a tiny bit of a spoiler. Everybody knows how I am about spoilers, and we're talking about films anyway, and technically you spoiled Transcendence, so who cares, right? In the Captain America sequel, they set up the second Avengers movie with this character who basically in the he was a Nazi scientist who died in the 1970s, and with 1970s computer technology, as in like a football field worth of computers with DAT tape, he uploaded his consciousness to a secret military bunker. And then you get introduced to him. Now this evil scientist that you knew in the first Captain America movie is now an AI system. This AI system is going to reintroduce itself in the Avengers sequel as the main villain, and he's going to be an evil AI that's going to have a whole network plus a main kind of like battle suit that they're going to fight, like where he puts himself in a big robot. Called Age of Ultron. So if you watch Captain America 2, it gets into that from the malevolent AI situation, and that will be a major aspect of the Avengers movie.
Right. Well, you're gonna see this more and more, being played out in Hollywood. They're really selling this stuff.
Yeah, they indeed are. I kind of feel with the way that they're selling it, and the reason why it's selling is because I think Hollywood's kind of caught the wind of the people that are moving into the next level of consciousness. And at the end of the day, if they want to make money, they really got to kind of spell it out. Because with Captain America 2, that entire film was entirely the truth. They changed the names to protect the guilty. Other than that, it was a completely factual movie. They reference Project Paperclip. There's the Super Soldier programs. It's very much like watching the Bourne series with the way they cover the Super Soldier situation.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a bunch of stuff that I would encourage in conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to come back as an angry robot.
Right. Well, I specifically wanted to see Transcendence yesterday, just to see, okay, what is Hollywood telling us now about transhumanism? And it's like they're telling a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. A lot of parallel information there for sure. That's a good point, Steve, you made. Do you have any other questions?
Not particularly at the moment. So I know you want to kind of move things along. So I'll let you.
Okay.
That's good. Good chatting with you. Thanks for calling in. I always appreciate you calling.
Right. Thanks, Steve.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Talk to you later. Bye.
I wanted to share one other point here with that he brought up about the Vatican, and have you ever seen the I have a brain fart here. Grace Powers. Have you ever seen her Ring of Power documentary?
No.
You haven't seen the Ring of Power?
Nope.
Okay. Grace Power was a lady. She's Canadian. She was raised. Her father was a Freemason, and but he kept what he did very secret from her and her mother. And she says this was always a point of contention in their family. And so she said when she became an adult, she spent 6 years researching secret societies and Freemasonry and all this and so forth. And she has created a 6 or 8 hour documentary called The Ring of Power. And it goes into incredible depth and so many different aspects of Freemasonry and secret societies and so forth. One of the aspects of this video goes into the history of Jesus, and it goes into great detail into the history of Egypt, because so much of this secret society stuff relates to ancient Egypt and so forth. Well, she goes into a fascinating alternative story about Jesus may have been the son of Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. Caesarion. Now, the first time you hear that, that's ridiculous. That's absurd. But you go into study, you start to dig into, well, who is Cleopatra and who is Julius Caesar? And they did have a son. This son was called Caesarion, which means Little Caesar. Well, Little Caesar was the legitimate heir to the throne or the empire of Rome. But it got hijacked by Augustus. Augustus was actually nephew to Julius Caesar. And after the Great War with Mark Antony, where Mark Antony's fleet was destroyed, Augustus sent his legions into Egypt looking for Caesarion to kill him. Okay, well, the story was that to protect him, Cleopatra had him sent by caravan into India. Now, there's a huge tradition. If you go to India, there's a huge tradition that there was a holy man named Isa who was from a country in the Middle East, and this is all contemporary. This is all happening at the same time that allegedly Jesus lived. Okay? That Isa, or the son of Julius Caesar and Cleopatra, was renamed Isa and was trained in Buddhist and Hindu traditions in India.
Very interesting.
So he was a very, very spiritual guy. And that eventually, as he grew into manhood, he made his way back to Alexandria.
Very interesting.
Where he reconnected with his half-sister, who would have been Mary Magdalene, who was Cleopatra's daughter by Mark Antony. Well, anyway, she goes into this whole alternate story of who Jesus may have been. And at first I thought, well, this is preposterous. But then I started digging into it a little bit more. And I thought, maybe there's something to this. But I encourage you to, if you ever get a chance, watch the Ring of Power documentary by Grace Powers, and it goes into this lineage and this power play that takes place where Jesus' plan is to recapture the Roman Empire only by creating a new religion.
That's interesting.
So it's just an amazing story, and I highly recommend if you get a chance to kind of dig into it.
Oh yeah.
There's a book called by Ralph Ellis, and it says, "Was Jesus the Last Pharaoh?"
That sounds good.
But you stop and think, if Jesus was the son of both Cleopatra and Julius Caesar, he would have been literally the son of God, because Julius Caesar had been declared God by the Roman Senate. So literally, he would have been the son of God. And Cleopatra claimed that she was the virgin queen incarnation of the goddess Isis.
Right, yeah.
So his mother would have been a virgin, the Virgin Mother Cleopatra in this
Right.
context.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, because the mystery school is all banned into that. I mean, if you're taught the Black Madonna energy is all associated with the Isis, it's all connected in. Yeah,
Right,
it's all weaved in.
Right. And he's referred to as, was it Isa in the Quran, and he has these names that are actually all sound like derivatives of Isis. Which is important, because if Cleopatra was his mother, the female bloodline has transcendence over the male bloodline in determining his divinity.
Yep.
So it's like, wait a minute, this is very unorthodox, but it's an amazing alternate story of the history of Jesus.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Now, you say that documentary, what year did that come out?
Oh, that came out, many years ago.
I'll have to check it out for sure.
Probably more than 10 years ago, but it's an excellent documentary. It's crammed with incredible information.
Well,
but I suspect that, and I think, and I have to give her credit that within secret societies, I believe that they have access to alternative histories that the mainstream does not, and that mainstream religions are intended just to entertain the masses, and they don't really contain accurate history.
I agree with that also. I also think that a lot of these so-called wannabe elites, which I don't even call them elites, I don't think they have the real answers either, though. I think they have a watered-down version of data. I think there's a very small portion of people on this planet who are record keepers of the truth. And those people I don't feel are necessarily corrupted.
Right.
But I do think everybody's been misled, and that's what's so disturbing. Boy, everything is a lie. And after a while, it's like, you know what? It's pointless. What's the point?
Yeah, well, yeah. So, the people who like to say, well, since there was no historical record of Jesus as being an actual person in Judea at that time, that he never existed, and he's just a fiction created by the Vatican. I don't agree with that. I think that Jesus is modeled after a real person, and it's interesting that the Library of Alexandria was destroyed by the Church, by the Vatican, in 391 A.D. So there could have been records in the Library of Alexandria, and also it's like, it wouldn't surprise me at all to discover that within the Vatican Library itself, that they have the full history of who Jesus really was.
Oh yeah, well, they have so much data in their archives. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And a lot of it's mystery school teachings, too.
Right.
But once again, you're dealing with people who aren't qualified to deal with the data. I mean, I don't care how evolved they are in their little divisions. They don't understand what they're looking at. And once again, it's about translations, as we know. I mean, you pointed that out several times over this evening, how the translations can get screwed up.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
That's huge. I mean, when you start screwing up an equation,
it's
not going to be the same. The information is going to be wrong.
Right. You can change one word and throw the whole context off.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're if you are cleverly rewriting it, you would do it deliberately to draw attention away from the fact that, oh, these are alchemical practitioners,
right,
or this and that, and because if the rank and file of the public knew this, they might go off on their own alchemical discoveries, right?
Right.
And God forbid they might empower themselves doing that.
Right. They might be off-worlders. They might just be multidimensional beings.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a given.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
So let's keep them stupid and let's shut down their pineal glands, and we'll tell them that we're the high priests and we're the only ones that can talk to God.
Yeah. Well, not on my watch. But that's what they've been doing for a very long time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like time to take the ship back, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
It's like, I think I've had enough of these people trying to steer us into the ground.
Right.
It's enough of that crap. Excuse my French. But yeah, it's it's funny. You've actually made it almost 2 hours with me. I'm actually really excited that you stayed the whole 2 hours.
Yeah, actually, I'm sound asleep, but
no, you're not.
This is my alternate consciousness talking.
Oh, great! Thanks a lot. That makes me feel so much better. But I do appreciate you being here tonight. It's been a real pleasure to have you on, Jim. It's always a pleasure to have you on. And before we wrap this up, I do want to make sure everybody knows how to get in touch with you and what you're working on too. I know you were editing your videos. What else have you been doing?
I just finished a video about the Russian Revolution.
Nice. Yeah, we were going to talk about that, by the way.
And it's like, boy, that's a whole topic right there that we have that really got swept under the rug, and the American people really don't understand, the aspects of that revolution and what really happened in Russia. And
that's huge.
We vilified the Nazis and Adolf Hitler, and we just kind of brushed the Russian Revolution thing aside. But at the end of the day, both the Russian Revolution and the rise of Adolf Hitler were paid for by the same people.
That's infuriating.
Yes.
It's a game board, like I said. I mean, it's just one big chess game.
Yes, it's a big chess game. And
and what's the objective?
And it's like, if you have enough money, if you have the money, you can play an incredible chess game. Mm-hmm. And that's what they do. Yeah. And are doing.
At our expense, at everyone's expense.
You bet. Yeah.
And then you have to ask yourself, what's the point? I mean, is it for entertainment? Are they bored? I mean, what's their problem? Is this a planet they come to for vacation? I mean, seriously, what is the deal with this kind of behavior on this world? I mean, not all of us function like that. So you have to ask yourself, what makes the division?
Well, this one informer who worked for Stalin, who's facing execution, and who kind of blew the whistle on the Rothschilds and the whole scam, said, you have to understand this, is that these people are obsessed with power. And it's like, it's not about money. It's like they've already got the money. He says now they're thinking that what they want is absolute, and he emphasized the word absolute. They won't stop until they have absolute power. Mm-hmm. Until they make themselves literally God Almighty on this planet.
Yep, that makes sense, doesn't it? You know what? That's probably why they go after people now, because with the transhumanism, because you're dealing with soul essence, soul power, and of course, to harness someone's soul energy, which was divine, obviously, then of course that's another part of the power and the obsession with power as well.
Well, there it is, and it's like, and this relates directly to the film yesterday, Transcendence. If I have enough money, and if I have enough power, I can make the planet into what I want it to be. And I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. Yeah. I was like, it's going to be my planet because I have the money and I have the power to do it.
Well, that's how they're operating.
This is my God, this is the mentality you're dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's trying to have it as their own personal little blue marble, I guess.
But the thing is, they have now the power, the technology they have now the technology where they can make that a reality.
Right. And you know what's interesting? I know you've heard the phrase, we have the technology to send ET home. So what do
Yes.
you think about that? What do you think about that phrase? What does it mean to you?
Oh, I think it's just exactly what they said. One of
How?
the things, one of the things they understand now about quantum physics is that all points in space-time are connected.
Right.
And it's like, well, it's not just all points in space-time, it's all of us. All of us are connected.
Mm-hmm.
All of us, there is no, this is one of the things that Lawrence Gardner was talking about. We have the technology now that transcends sending a rocket or the Starship Enterprise to send it flying across the universe.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even need to do that anymore.
Right.
You can you pick a point in the universe where you want to go,
Yep.
and you are there.
Yep. Consciousness in motion.
Exactly. They understand that all points in space-time are connected. So you
Right.
pick a place where you want to go, and then...
Do you know why?
Hmm?
Because, well, there is no such thing as space or time. That's why.
Right.
The answer to the equation. Very simple,
There you
isn't
go.
it?
There you go.
Time is a benchmark of measure. We use it on Earth. They don't use it anyplace else.
Right. So,
That's the secret. Interesting, Jim.
yes.
With that said, we should be able to get out of this whole orbit and just go home. That's my birthday wish. Oh, be careful what I wish for. Oh, my goodness. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because they say that a lot. And of course, they talk about the ESP and the telepathy. And obviously, we're all psychic beings. We're all telepathic naturally, whether we use it or not, whether we switch it on or off, it doesn't matter. And then, of course, there's the artificial intelligence, which enhances it. What's that, Jim?
And that goes right back to Jesus.
Yep.
Jesus says, what you do to the least of these, you have done to me. And he's talking pure quantum physics. He's saying, we are all connected. We are all connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like,
whether you like it or not.
So
yep.
It's like I can't imagine a Vatican Council making up a line like that just as a fiction. It's like somebody who was very, very smart said that, who had a clear understanding of quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, that whoever said that, whether it was Jesus or some other smart Galilean, was on top of his game.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I think the Vatican knew that. So now it would be smarter if we just created an artificial character for the mass population to worship.
Right. Well, it's only a matter of time before they clone the DNA of a Christ, of a master Jesus.
Okay. Well, that was the ultimate. That was the ultimate scene in the movie yesterday, where Johnny Depp, who had died, took the the nanotechnology and reconstituted himself.
There you go. Well, it's all possible. Anything is possible. It's limitless.
Okay. Well, now this is interesting. How are we doing on time?
Got a few more minutes. Go ahead.
My next speaker for my quantum meetup group here, Quantum Horizons meetup group here, is a gentleman that went to India, specifically went to India to learn of the history of Jesus in India. Mm-hmm. And there's a place, I think it's in Kashmir, that had been taken over by the Muslim interest there, and there's supposed to be the tomb, the actual tomb that Jesus went back to India. He lived a long life, and he died an old man. Mm-hmm. And his tomb is, it's revered by the people in that area as the tomb of Jesus Christ. Well, my friend Ed Martin, who did this video documentary all about Jesus in India, got as far as that shrine, and the Muslim, the militant Muslim government in that area had the whole place locked off, so you couldn't get in. You couldn't even get into the building. And because what they wanted to do was go in and see if they couldn't get a sample of DNA.
Very interesting.
And it's like they got that far, and they were blocked off. They couldn't get any further.
That's very
so
interesting.
it's like, Well, if there's nobody of any account in that tomb, well, then why would they go to such trouble to keep people out of it?
Yeah, well, that's another mystery, isn't it?
Well, once again, you see there's the powers that be, step in when somebody's getting too close to the truth.
Right. Well, you know what? I'm tired of that. That's enough of that crap. Once again, I don't let them do that to me. They don't do that. They know that. I think that's because they're following my work anyway. But they're like, oh yeah, let her get more information. But anyways, I want to thank you very much, Jim, for making my birthday a very happy one, and thank you for being on the show tonight. It's a pleasure and an honor. Yeah, you're a wonderful person. You're wonderful and so intelligent, and everybody just loves hearing you. And hope to have you back soon. Want to talk about the Russian thing? Definitely.
Right. Well, in the meantime, you go see Transcendence, and then give me a call on Skype, and we'll talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll go check it out. And I do want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you for calling in. Thank you, Steve, for calling in. And, of course, stay tuned for Shiny Side Out with David Dunder and Mickey coming up next to sell you on into the night from down under. They always have an awesome show. And once again, thanks, everybody, for the well wishes I've been receiving on Facebook and everything else. It's been really nice. And,
hey, happy birthday.
Well, thank you very much. We still have a few minutes here. Any final words? And once again, how can people get in touch with you if they want to contact you?
Just they can.
They can't. No.
They can read my blogs and watch my videos. JimNicholsUFO.net.
Excellent. And of course, if they're lucky enough to encounter you over there in your territory, you have your monthly gatherings, right?
Yeah, here in Tucson. Mm-hmm.
That's excellent. And do you take new people coming over or new?
Sure.
You do to the group? I was just curious in case anybody was out there and wanted to kind of connect in with the group or not.
Are you going to come and sign up?
Well, if I'm out there, I'll definitely check it out for sure. Yeah, I wish I was listening to your last presentation. I really wanted to hear that, but I'm sure are you going to put a documentary together on that?
On what?
On the Russian.
I already did.
You did? Okay, I'll check that out for sure.
Yeah, I showed it at the last meeting and they loved it. Excellent.
Okay, Jim. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week.
All right.
I'll talk to you later. Take care.
10-4.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Listening to Revolution Radio.